Welcome in the Indie Corner. This time with another Motorpsycho review, a band that I can say has become one of my more recent favorite bands. Before we travel behind the sun with them, though, here's a little bit more information about the band for those who don't know Motorpsycho. Motorpsycho started life in the late 80s when ex-high school friends Bent Sæther and Hans Magnus Ryan met again. Bent had formed a band that was looking for a new guitarist. As regards the band name, they hit pay dirt in the domain of sleazy movies. In the flick Motorpsycho by notorious director Russ Meyer, a 60s motorcycle gang spreads violence and chaos. The Norwegian trio thankfully rather decided to spread noise and eclectic musical journeys in their long career. After a debut called Lobotomizer in 1991 that could be considered alt metal or stoner metal to some extent, and a change of drummer, the for the longest time stable trio lineup of Motorpsycho was found. For a while in their early years, however, the band acted as a four-piece when art school student and avant-garde fan Helge Deathprot Sten joined. They recorded the sprawling double album Demon Box, expanding their musical diversity. This was followed by an even bigger project in 1994, the eclectic triple album Timothy's Monster, that brought together elements of classic rock, alternative rock, grunge, metal, and bits of psychedelia. After the accompanying tour, Deathprot quit the band but would later collaborate as producer. Apart from a fun country alias side project, Motorpsycho as a trio continued to gain public recognition and grow musically. The next full-length album, Blizzard, was inspired by experimental noise rock and indie rock of the 90s and won the band its first Norwegian Music Prize. This was followed by the arguably even more experimental and harsh-sounding Angels and Demons at Play in 1997. 1998's double album Trust Us saw the band open up to more psychedelic structures and was an unexpected commercial success. In the next years, a phase in the band's creative output followed where the focus lay more on songwriting, melody, and sophisticated production. This resulted in what could be considered Motorpsycho's melodious psych-pop phase, filled with gorgeous songs, lots of overdubs and guest musicians, starting with the album Let Them Eat Cake from 2000, which topped the Norwegian charts. This marked Motorpsycho's arguably most accessible phase, as underlined by the wonderfully creative homages to psychedelic rock and sunshine pop Phanerothime from 2001 and It's a Love Cult 1 year later. After this runoff by Motorpsycho's standards, almost overproduced and deliberately sunny albums as well as frequent touring, the band felt a bit exhausted and in need of new inspiration. To clear their heads and maybe recharge batteries, an unexpected collaboration in 2003 with the horn section of Jagga Jazzist showed a more funky and jamming side of the band. Still, at that point, Motorpsycho were actually close to hanging up their instruments for good. They revived their aliases as the International Tussler Society once more for fun, resulting in a very entertaining country rock and southern rock album. Still, this couldn't prevent longtime drummer and core member Håkan Gebhardt to leave the band. Reduced to a duo, Bent and Hans Magnus eventually decided to move on and start from scratch, as also indicated by the title of the next Motorpsycho album, 2006's Black Hole Blank Canvas, which returned to a louder, more alt-rock sound. Backed up by a virtuoso and schooled jazz drummer Kenneth Kapstad, a revived and hungry Motorpsycho returned in 2008 with the ambitious Little Lucid Moments, an album that fused alternative rock, progressive rock, and more open jamming. This was followed up quickly with the initially vinyl only release of the more psychedelic Child of the Future, recorded with legendary producer Steve Albini in the USA. Motorpsycho's transformation into an adventurous, heavy prog band was in full progress when they teamed up with Norway's leading producer Kåre Vesterheim to record Heavy Metal Fruit to much critical acclaim. Their new mastery of complex and long prog epics got even stronger with their next project, which, for many fans of this facet of the band's sound, ranks as one of their best albums ever. A shimmering concept album called The Death Defying Unicorn, developed together with keyboarder Ståle Storlocken for the Mold International Jazz Festival. After such big and sprawling concept works, Motorpsycho felt like returning to a more guitar-driven rock sound and for a while grew to a quartet again with Swedish guitarist Raine Fiske. Together they recorded a whole bunch of tracks, the first of which were released as Still Life with Eggplant, an album that drew strongly from underground rock and progressive sounds of the early 70s, with the additional guitarist bringing an extra level of energy to the music. A second session with this lineup in 2013 provided the foundation for the next album that saw a 2014 release. Yes, the album has got a slightly spooky collage artwork, not unlike the artwork for the Child of the Future album. So that was a kind of psychedelic but also slightly disturbing aesthetic that the band went for a while. Not the most or not the best artwork on Motorpsycho albums. I don't exactly dislike it, but yeah, it has something a bit random or almost ugly about it. So let's find out if the music can make up for that as Motorpsycho take us on a trip behind the sun, wherever that is supposed to be. Cloudwalker builds up slowly like a sunrise with a beautiful guitar motif until it turns into a 70s inspired rock song. The lyrics talk about fleeting moments, preferring vagueness or the idea of things to the real things, uh, letting things go, maybe also relationships. And just like those lyrics, the music can be both very dreamy, but then also very fierce and loud. It's a great opener. Ghost, the next song, is a lot slower, less dense, with a meditative, somewhat lamenting sound. It's a song about moving on, being happy to bring an unhappy relationship to an end. Let's stop feeling guilty. I'm too tired and I'm closing the door. I hope you're happy, 'cause I'm not even really sure I know you anymore. I was reminded of a prog version of Neil Young and Crazy Horse by this. On a Plate reintroduces the heavier retro rock sound Motorpsycho were going for at this stage. A fuzzy guitar riff evokes heavy acid rock from the late 60s or early 70s. This track again deals with contempt or rejection of another person. It's the most straightforward rock song on the album. The Promise is next, an urgent, driving hard rock meets prog number. Ben Zather strains his voice a little bit while he sings about the false golden promises that the consumer society blinds us with. The band gives all their energy and remains extremely tight. There are neat little breaks, and the song's stumbling rhythm drives it constantly forward. It's my favorite on Behind the Sun. But there is something outside of this. Valley of consumer bliss. Something too precious, too great to miss, to throw away. A promise. Questor has a looser jam feel and also adds some jazzier textures. It all feels a bit more free-form, experimental space rock. There are also some strings in the background, and this more epic track showcases the interplay of the individual band members. After that, the band's Hell series is continued. This multi-part project was started on the previous album, Still Life with Eggplants. On Behind the Sun, we get the parts 4 to 6, called Traitor, The Tapestry, and Swiss Cheese, respectively. And later on in the album, also part 7 as an individual track. Hell Part 4 is comparatively laid back, a more subdued, mid-tempo, proggy rock, focusing on the intertwining two guitars. The Tapestry is a gentle acoustic interlude leading to part 6, which is a heavier, louder continuation of part 4, basically. It ends with a meandering guitar solo. Motorpsycho rarely disappoint with their long pieces, and this one's also very solid, but for me it is one of the less interesting ones of the album. Entropy is the most normal sounding track on the album. It's the one that maybe recalls older Motorpsycho songs the most. It's a very slow, almost a bit dragging rock ballad. There's beautiful bass playing going on. Maybe the song is a bit too long for my liking, but after all, this is a tune about being inactive, floating passively along, maybe also about a lack of energy or even will to live. So this long-winded, dragging structure and pace of the track are actually quite fitting. Behind the Sun picks up again and becomes a lot livelier with the magic and the wonder, in parentheses, a love theme, with intricate drumming and one of my favorite guitar licks of the album. Lyrically, it's not as romantic as the title suggests. Relationships are compared to a race or a game where everybody is trying to get the upper hand. This disillusionment with relationships is addressed in most of the songs on Behind the Sun. And while Entropy would have made a nice, quieter closing track, instead we get Hell Part 7, Victim of Rock, the most challenging track to listen to. It's systematic, noisy mayhem with wild drums, cacophonic guitars, etc. I'm sure it was fun to play, but it can get a bit tiring to listen to. Well, it's not called hell for nothing. Take your sex and drugs, but let me keep my rock and roll. Be still, my soul. Drenched in sweat, we return to Earth. There are actually two more tracks. Allegedly, owners of the original vinyl version of Behind the Sun were treated to two hidden tracks where one side of the vinyl officially only had a carving, but also included two instrumentals that were cut in parallel so that the needle would randomly hit one of those two tracks. So hidden tracks. I'd be curious to know if any of you own the vinyl version and can confirm this. Maybe let me know in the comments. Behind the Sun is quite the trip. It should appeal to fans of heavier 70s rock with prog tendencies or any more out there 70s stuff. And while for me it's not absolute top tier Motorpsycho material, it's definitely another good album in their really impressive catalog. Just don't get lost behind the sun and tune in for the next Murdock Music Minute. See you there. Bye bye.